Let me give you a second unwritten rule, and the second unwritten rule is significant because it has to do with how you interact with other people. I call this the unwritten rule of the silo. How many of y'all know what silos are? Okay? Let me tell you what happens in almost every place. Whether you like it or not, in every student union, in every university, people adopt 3 levels of relationships. First level, each and every one of you has someone that you would call a friend or perhaps a colleague. This is someone that you work with on a daily basis. You know them, they know you. These are the people that when you go in the dining hall and you have free time, you sit with them. These are your friends. These are incidentally people that you have great influence on, and also people that you influence greatly. The difficulty is that in a school the size of UNH, that is a very small number of people. And what we see is we see people in the student union, and I don't necessarily mean here, but in most schools, they stay in the student union. And it's not evil and it's not wrong, but what happens is there's a greater population that they miss. We see this at conferences. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. Everybody look to your left, and everybody look to your right. How many of you are sitting right next to or with someone from your own school? Here's why. You come into something like this, and incidentally, you probably came here today going like this. We're going to network. So, the kids from UVM, you're networking with each other. It's very comfortable. I come into a place like this, and I look around, and how many of y'all have ever noticed that people that you don't know or don't know, you don't look at your eyes, they kind of go like this? Do y'all know what I'm talking about? And there, it's like, it says Alex, but I have no idea where Alex is from. So I want to go meet Alex, and I think to myself, can I do this? I don't know, I've never met Alex. And here's the problem that most of us have when we try and get out of our silo. We look at Alex, and we have a perception of risk. Here's the perception. What if I go up to Alex, who is obviously very cool, and very, very sophisticated, and I go up and I say, hi Alex, I'd really like to meet you. And then she kills me. Sorry, Alex. She's pretty brutal, huh? But don't miss this. I'm not talking physical death. I'm talking about the death that all of us fear more than that. And let me show you what that is. I go up and I say, hi Alex, I'd like to meet you. And she goes like this. I don't think so. And one of the things that you need to break through a silo is that you need to understand how you make friends. Not how you do it now, but how you're supposed to do it. All the research shows that people build relationships initially based on outward appearances. So what that means is that the overwhelming majority of you, though there are some people that would, the overwhelming majority of you would not go out of your way to meet me. Here's why. By the way, I'm very comfortable with this. You know what I am when you look at me? I'm an old, bald, white guy. I did this at one school. I actually had a girl in the front seat going like this. Yes. And the point that I'm trying to make is that if you want to have a great year, today, you need to go meet the folks from Ireland. You need to go meet the folks from University of Vermont or from UMass Lowell, wherever it is, and you need to introduce yourself and find things that you have in common. Let me show you how much fun this can be. We're going to do a really fun experiment. Here's what I need you to do. When I say go, I want you to find someone in the room that you don't know. And I want you to see if you can find something that you have in common with them. So here's your challenge. You've only got 60 seconds. Find someone you don't know, find something in common, and keep track of how many questions you have to ask before you find that something in common. Go! Do the best you can. How many questions did you take? How many questions? 8? Grab a seat. No. Here's my question. How many people in here were able to find something in common in roughly 6 questions or less? I have no idea why this works. Psychologists say you can go up to someone you've never met before, and in 6 questions you can find something in common. Well, why don't we do it? We don't do it because of the fear. Let me sort of demonstrate what I mean by this. And to demonstrate this, we're going to have a little bit of fun. Let me tell you what I need. I need one person that would be willing to volunteer to come up in front of the group and juggle. Do I have any volunteers? Oh, jeez, his hand went up really quick. Come on up. Give this guy a round of applause. Alan, where are you from? Oh, that's right. Okay, my favorite school. Okay, let me show you what happened. This is a classic example of someone choosing to do something. Getting out of your silo, that's a choice that you make. Choosing to define things as possible versus impossible, those are choices that you make. But what you've got to do is every time that you make a choice, you need to do it consciously, just like you need to teach other people to do it consciously, because most of us, we make our choices unconsciously. How many of you all in here have ever done this on a Saturday night? We're hanging out together and we don't know what to do, so somebody says, what do you want to do? And somebody says, I don't know. What do you want to do? And how many of you have ever noticed that unconsciously you spend the entire evening doing it like that? And at the end of it, you said, we should have done something. So what I want you to do is recognize how Alan made his choice. Because every time that you make a choice, consciously or unconsciously, you ask yourself 3 questions. And what we have to learn to do, and what we need to learn to teach, is what are the 3 questions. So let me show you what they are. The very first question that you always ask is, can I do that? I assume you know how to juggle. So he's like, no problem. Okay, second question. He looks at it and he says, can I do that? He says, yes, and then he goes, what's the risk? Now, in this case, tennis balls, no risk. I'm not going to do this, but use your imagination. What if I'd been standing up here and I'd had like chainsaws? I did this at one school. I actually had a guy look at me and he's like this, yeah. How about flaming chainsaws? I'm like, that's a bit over the top, okay? But you know, I have chainsaws up here and I start them up, and I don't know how good you are, but he's like, no. and here's what happens. He looks at it and he says, can I do that? Yes, but what's the risk? Those are chainsaws. And it changes the choice completely. But understand this. If you are going to excel in your role on campus, if you're going to help the students that you work with excel in whatever it is they want to do things they never dreamt possible, they're going to have to try things they're not sure they can do. So you always go to the third question, which is this: what's the benefit? Because if the benefit is high enough, you'll choose to take the risk. So we're actually going to do this, but I thought we'd have a little bit of fun. So you're actually not juggling tennis balls. No, we didn't do chainsaws this time, but I did stop at Market Basket. And we're going to have Alan juggle the eggs. How many of you want to see Alan juggle the eggs? How many of you are glad you are not up here right now? But you know, here's the crazy thing. I can get any one of you to try juggling eggs. And I'll tell you how I do it. I just raise the benefit high enough. If I offered you $1 million, for $1 million, how many of you would be willing to try juggling eggs? The folks from Ireland, their hand went up really quick. I don't know what the exchange rate is, but I'm sure it's pretty good. Risk is really low. Now, Alan, you've got to get some benefit. You want to show people what you can do? Okay. You want the tennis balls? There you go. All right, let's see what he does. Whoa, give